go.
Yeah.
I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey. Yes.
We're back. No
Yeah.
William.
No, guess not. He didn't reach out to me, but that's okay. I presume that.
He's got parental responsibilities.
He does, huh?
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
He's gotta do
he
what
just
he
doesn't like us anymore. So
He's got to do what he's got to do.
yeah, fair enough, man.
know.
Sometimes you gotta cut him loose, huh?
I know.
So there's two assholes.
I can't-
You
I-
talk shit about me while I'm gone.
I
man.
can't
So
fucking
fuck them
afford,
guys,
to be affiliated with the group right now.
yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I saw that somewhere that was like I can't remember where it might have been on a podcast I was watching about it, and it was like, you know, the like the top 5 things that girls don't want to hear on a first date now.
What, I do a podcast?
Well, I did a podcast is on there, yeah.
that
you've
doesn't
seen that one
surprise me.
before? Yeah,
No,
okay.
it just doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay. So you should check out my podcast. So
No, I'm familiar with the theory, right? Because I think there's a joke about that too. Is that's what guys do instead of going to therapy?
what, they podcast now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whereas
it's not that ubiquitous, man. I mean, I'm the only guy that I know who does a podcast. So
yeah, me too.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. You know.
I mean, not that. Okay, so I mean, counting amongst like, because I know people that they do things for like professional stuff, like for like school stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if that
different.
counts, but
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I suppose it would. So, I don't know. But that's kind of like knowing a guy in radio, but you're really doing a course at PPCC, you know, kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's what is the audience? Well, if it's to this classroom or it's something, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I do still listen to quite a bit of terrestrial radio, though.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, just because when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
although now I've been driving the truck around, so I don't listen to it in the truck because I have that fat stack of CDs you cut me 20 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
They're
man.
fucking great, man. It is totally a walk down memory lane.
God.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's like 10 or 12 of them, and like 8 of them still work. So the others kind of got stuck together. So,
It's gonna happen.
well, if they've been there for 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. And given that I never really took care of CDs all that well.
Me neither.
I mean, I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything. It's just that I knew some people that they were all in the jewel cases and
That was the first thing I hucked, man. So, yeah.
type
So,
of shit.
like, even with all, like, I still have a spindle of computer games.
Oh,
Yeah.
and they're on the spindle.
They're on the spindle. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
immediately throw all the bullshit that came with it away. So, because otherwise it would just accumulate. Although I do have a box full of old manuals. So,
Box full of old manuals I get. And you know what? There are people that, especially with PC games, they have the big boxes from...
back in
I don't want to call it the golden era of
the
PC
border
gaming.
bun days.
Yeah, well, yeah. Basically, until they went short, until they went to the standard size like DVD,
DVD
case.
cases, yeah.
And some even came in those crappy CD jewel cases as well.
Yeah, I think like back in the 90s, all the computer games you buy, unless you got them from like the fucking Babbage's, the discount pile or
the shit that had been like rewrapped and
Yeah.
like packaged with something else, like shit that you would
Right,
get
right.
with like a 50-pack of discs.
Yeah, and then they'd throw a couple copies of something that just didn't sell.
Yeah.
I remember after a while, like even if you were buying other games, it was like, oh, here's a copy of Myst that goes with that. It's like I already have this. So, well, you get another one now, and it's like, I don't want this.
Check it out. I don't want it.
I don't want it. Yeah, I just want this other game. But you can't. They're a package. It's like, okay, yeah. It's not like we're gonna chop the price of that one in half.
No,
because
not
you
at
don't
all.
want this. So
No.
this one's literally free.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's how you look through and you're like, I don't remember buying Siberia. I don't remember buying fucking, F-15 Strike Eagle or whatever. It's just
Did I ever have that?
that was on disc, man. That one goes way back. So fucking
I had F-117 Stealth Fighter, and I had Falcon 4.0.
oh, yeah, that's right, you did.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the game where you could pull the landing gear up while you were still on the ground. At which point in time, I was like, this game's way too complicated for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I had an A10 game, too, that was really old. It might have been a micropose game.
Well, I know F-15 Strike Eagle was. I think there were quite a few in that family.
I don't think I had that one.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't
sure.
good. It was just it was another one of those.
Yeah. F-117 was fun just because you had a look down camera on it.
Oh,
And so basically you're dropping smart munitions on Iraqis. So in 1991.
yeah.
And it had the green camera. And it was so cool because it was like, well, that's actually out there.
That's
But,
it.
it's a fucking night vision. I just realized
These
it's
are
just
laser guided.
yeah, it's just a different palette. Yeah.
But isn't that life?
It is kind of life, yeah. It's just a different color scheme. Yeah. A lot.
Well, it's a
Excuse
bizarre
me.
thing. I mean, yeah, because that's just a different color palette. It's not quite seeing in a different spectrum like the dog does, who
Right.
has excellent night vision.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially at detecting movement from great distances.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
cats too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I saw a video that was like life through your cat's eyes. And it was totally different than what I thought it was going to be. So,
Is that the one where they strap the small camera to the cat and just let it?
no, it's where they actually use the color spectrum that cats can see.
Oh.
So, yeah. And it was like, I mean, so your eyes can't really detect like the difference in fidelity. So,
Right.
because they're as good as they're going to get. But on this video, what they had done was they basically grained it up for human view. So, and then, so you could see like, I guess the proportional difference
Right.
between it.
Right.
It was like, wow, that's pretty impressive, So, I mean, here's me. I can barely read, anything that's further than 6 inches from my
Oh,
nose.
dude, I don't want to hear about that shit. No, I know. That's rough.
Actually, right now I'm at the last stage before I have to get cheaters or like progressive lenses.
What is it?
So that's where they're bifocals, but kind of built into your
Oh,
lens.
oh.
So because right now it's really hard for me to read something that's about this far away. I'm holding my hand maybe about 2 feet from my face, 1.5 feet. So
Yeah, it's about a foot now.
yeah. All right. So, but if I'm out here, I'm good. So that's literally because my prescription's gotten to the point in time where like the only thing to make it better is to do that. Is to have glasses that do two different things now. So
You know what?
or get the lather, or they lather my eyeball and get them all fixed.
You could do that.
I could probably do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So it used to be for years I couldn't do it because I had astigmatism, and now they're like, nah, that's not a problem anymore. So
Yeah, we figured it
Yeah.
out. Yeah, we
figured
did a
it
little
out.
bit of math.
Right,
And,
yeah. We
yeah.
did the math.
Yeah. We scaled back the laser to non-lethal levels and reduced the radiation by a factor of 4, and now they can do it.
Score.
Yeah, I don't complain too much because I'm nearsighted, right? I can still see everything near without too much trouble. But yeah, at distances it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, sure.
But that's why I wear these corrective lenses.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I might do the laser surgery someday. We'll see.
maybe.
It's not even that expensive. I remember it used to be, I was like, oh, okay, money bags, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but now, like, it's not even that bad. In fact, I bet you my insurance would cover it. So.
Well, it's funny because here in the Springs, like, people would come here just for that laser surgery because every now and then they would run this like fucking fire sale of like laser surgery, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember, I can't remember how far back it goes, but yeah, people would be like, every now and then, like for 2 weeks or something, people would be like, oh, you can do each eye. Like each eye is $500 or whatever. Right?
Oh, I seem to remember those. Yeah, they had commercials and shit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they would go on crazy sale every now and then, and like I don't even know what that is. Like you said, insurance will probably take care of that, whatever your copay is, and just.
I think it's still elective surgeries, but my insurance is pretty good, so they'll cover a chunk of it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not a burning issue at the moment, but yeah, maybe someday.
I'll think about it. I don't know. The only tricky part is like recovery time, which is a pain in the ass, but.
It's not as bad as it used to be. I know both of my parents had it done, so yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
I think you have to do one eye at a time though, and then you wear like false glasses, so for a few days. I can't remember, so I'll have to ask my mom.
The people I know did it had both done it once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And I guess I don't know. The thing was they just like couldn't go anywhere for like a 24, 48 hours,
Oh, that's not bad.
something like that.
That's like normal. So, I don't really need to go out, man. you know.
No, I don't.
So
But I mean,
yeah.
I still have to. Like, you're not supposed to be looking at bright things. You're not supposed to be on the
Oh.
computer, that kind of stuff. It's
Oh,
not like
boo.
you. It's not that you sit around with a fucking blindfold on for, you know.
Right, yeah. Just listen to the old timey radio.
No,
Yeah.
it's not like that.
Terrestrial radio.
But yeah, you're just not supposed to stress them for a while. And I guess part of the difficulty is this is the part that sounds like it sucks, is that they, at least then, in order to make sure that your eyes would stay in place, they'd have to attach this like sucker device that would.
That sounds horrifying.
That's the,
Yeah.
because I'd see guys with like the vessel like strongly irritated. It's like, the hell is that? It's like, oh, that's where they put the sucker on so that it keeps your eye in place while they do the.
Well, you don't really want to move your eye while it's being lasered, so I get that.
No.
Yeah, no.
And if that's the way to do it, but I mean, I guess for me, it's like, will I be entirely unconscious, or are you going to be,
Yeah.
putting your Borg implants on my fucking eyeballs while I'm awake? Because that's the other thing. It's like, how could you, in theory, look into that while they're doing it while you're awake?
My understanding is that it comes from the side and they shave pieces. So it's not like it's like right at your eye, I don't know, man. So yeah, so I always said no, I don't want to lay there near my eyes. But now I know so many people have had it done where it's just kind of like, okay.
All right,
All you guys
well,
can
that's
pick
fine.
that one out for
Yeah,
me.
that's
So
that's
we're
fine.
good.
That's fine. Yeah, and there's no I haven't been hearing like a rash of like people. I remember all the stuff back then. It was like, well, you're gonna have to have them done again in 20 years, and
Oh, right.
it's the same. It's the same thing we
Forget
talked. Remember that was the we were talking about fucking the parents that were like, don't get power windows on your car.
Right, yeah. Don't
That's
get power
just-
windows in your car.
It's just
Yeah.
gonna break, and you're gonna have to pay more.
Right. So,
Don't get air conditioning in your car.
Yeah, they charge you more for that.
Charge you way more
Way
for
more
that. Just roll down the windows, dude.
Dude, yeah, what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. And that's fine. You know what? And to their credit, maybe they come from a different generation where there was a series of hucksters that were basically out there fleecing people with, silly things like that. But
I don't, man, it's got to be hard to be a huckster anymore. So, you just Google shit and you find it real fast. So, if it's a complete scam. And you know what? I would like? Someone can write this little mini program. It'd be an app on my phone where it would reverse Google your number before I had a chance to even answer it. So,
oh, instead of just showing like the caller ID.
yeah, because the caller ID, like, those are so scammy now. So, they do show up as like scam likely, but even then I still get got by them every now and then. So I just don't answer anything.
No, I don't.
And so it'd be really nice if there was a number that was like, oh no, this actually belongs to a doctor's office. So it'd be like, great,
I know.
yeah, thanks.
Well, imagine how difficult that is for them. Like knowing
Oh,
that
yeah.
that he's not going to answer.
Yeah, no.
But you know what? That's fine because, frankly, in any place where I had to call out or reach anybody, I much prefer that nobody picked up. I'm just going to leave the message, and
Yeah, sure.
whatever happens, happens, right?
Yeah. Did you ever do outbound calls
Yeah,
on a job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. for like a month, I worked at the MCI Center.
Oh, that's right. I
Oh
forgot
my
about that.
God, that was
No, yeah. No, you weren't a future call guy.
Nope.
No, that was Mike.
Nope.
Yeah, that's right. Did he make it like 20 minutes?
I thought that was Taco Bell, but I can't
That
remember.
might have been Taco Bell. Yeah.
But I think he did that for like a week or so.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it was a pain in the ass. But yeah, you reach somebody, leave a message is fine. Your transaction with them is done.
Right. I made my call, so
Yeah.
my boss can see that I'm doing my job. Pay me money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it's funny that you say that, yeah, because when you're talking about like hucksterism, I think it's taken on a completely different form, right? Because it's I don't think it's product based, right?
Okay.
I don't think people got on products because you can sit there and look at even people are now they're wise to the like review farming, right?
Oh yeah.
Where they can hop in there and say, all right, how many 5-star reviews do you have?
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you take a look at the reviews and you say, all of you actually speak fairly good English?
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
impossible.
That's impossible. Oh,
Right.
that plugin is fantastic. So
Right.
yeah.
But with, like, say, for example, this actually came up with a person on today. They were talking about Tony Robbins. Now, she's a psychologist, right? And we were talking about this technique. I've seen, his program. And you,
Tony Robbins?
yeah, have you ever watched one of those?
Oh fuck yeah.
Okay.
So
So, all right, I'm just going to ask you this. Like, what is his technique?
well, it's pretty simple. I mean, he's basically an ego booster. So,
Yeah.
he'll get you in front of 1,000 people.
Uh-huh.
And then, you're not going to say, no, I don't feel strong, in front of 1,000 people. And so, I mean, I've seen a lot of his shit.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have read one of his books.
Yeah.
Just a long time ago. Because that dude's been around forever.
Oh, yeah.
And he keeps growing like an inch every year, too. So, but anyway.
Regular humans don't do that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not necessarily a regular human. So, but he, I don't know. Like, I've had students come because I teach, like, a lot of the shit that he teaches crosses over with what I teach. And it's just like, yeah, if that gets you jazzed and stuff like that, cool, man. It's not bad for you. Okay, but understand that, like, he's not teaching you strategy here. He's not teaching you.
Mm-mm.
He's just ego boosting and, like getting yourself pumped up. And then so Tony Robbins is one of the guys who was actually kind of upfront about that. He's like, that's what I do. Where there's a lot of other hucksters out there. It's like, oh no, this is backed by science, and we can measure your cortisol levels based upon the pose that you're standing in before you go in for an interview.
Right.
That's
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. Yeah. So anyway,
Well, so this was the thing we were talking about, because we were breaking down the techniques. It's just like, all right, well, here's all he does. You watch these things, right? And he's going to be addressing a big group. He's high energy, and what he's going to do is he's going to pick individuals out from the group, and he's going to do the break you down to build you back up, technique.
yeah, absolutely.
But he's doing this in the comfort of a big group, right? Which means, basically, like, I don't want to say necessarily courage, but things that you wouldn't necessarily do on your own, you do because you have the support of a whole bunch of people around you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah.
And they say the people talk about when they went there, and she was talking about this. She was saying, like, they interview people afterwards and they say, what exactly did you learn? Nobody ever actually learns anything, but they say they feel good.
Yeah, right.
And, and that's, of course, it's going to be a fleeting thing. Why? Because what he's doing here is he's taking down what basically stripping you down there and saying, use this procedure, use this, ego boosting thing. But the problem here, and this as well as I do, is you cannot use every solution doesn't require the same process, doesn't require the same tool.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when you're getting people to do this kind of thing, you're saying apply this, to your life before you do something. It just basically defies the reality that we live in a scarcity, a world of scarcity. There's only so many. Well, it comes down to it's like, well, I need to get jazzed up to get this job. Well, you may or may not get it because there's not that many jobs to go around.
Right, and there's a million other factors in how jazzed you are. So
Absolutely.
90% of which are going to be completely hidden to you,
Absolutely, right? And what's going to happen there is eventually you're going to find out that this isn't, a works for everything technique.
Well, sure, and you have, you can have, what's the bias? There's a particular bias behind that, where if it works for you once, it just becomes like a rule.
Oh yeah,
it's like survivorship bias.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing that children learn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but and then so like it's like cold cures and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, drink honey tea. It worked for me.
Yeah.
This one time, and there's like no fucking proof. If you actually did that in some kind of randomized trial, and had a placebo group and everything,
Yeah.
like did all that, it would come out different. But your mom swears by it, so fuck yeah, because it worked that one time.
Well, and this was the piece of this that I thought was interesting, right? Because then the question was, all right, so if you're not aware of that on a metacognitive level,
Sure,
right? is it still effective? Right. This is the thing.
Right. Yeah.
You and I we can sit there. We can watch while it's happening. Right.
Mhm.
And this is not saying like, oh, you dummies. Right. No. There's plenty of things that I take on the surface. You know, when I sit there, like I know I'm victim to so many commercials. Right.
No,
Where
yeah,
I can
me
see
too.
them doing things that are like, well, like Flex Seal looks like it would work for me.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It had Dark 30. Yeah.
That's it kind of worked, but I
Yeah.
mean there are conditions that go with it. But yeah, there's the thing on this here is yeah, I've been taken in by these kind of things. But if you're not aware of that and you apply that right and you think about that and you're unaware of what it is, but you just do it right. Does it work?
Yeah.
And in which case, who am I to say that the technique doesn't have value?
Right. Well, yeah, value and does it work are two different things. So that's going to be defined by
Roger
your
that.
end.
Okay, yeah.
That's going to be defined
Yeah.
by your end user. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I get you on that one. So it's just like, yeah, I think like the world of hucksterdom,
Yeah, that's like Ghost Adventure stuff. That's like fucking
Yeah.
like John Edwards stuff, right?
it's just you got to be like 2-3 steps ahead of the internet anymore, and that's getting harder and harder to fucking do. On just about anything, where you have to try and figure out like, is this the good one? So yeah, and like there's been a few things like that plug-in on fucking Amazon is great because I have
Cultivate, yeah.
yeah, Cultivate, thank you. I have not ordered shit from China in ages. So in fact, I got a spatula from Japan last week. It's the finest piece of machinery. I mean, a cutlery that I have in my drawer, man. So did it have perfect 5-star reviews? No.
Nothing in reality should.
Good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where it wasn't the Amazon choice one, but I was like, all right,
Right.
let me look at that. Where is this coming from? I was like, things from Japan generally don't suck. So you might find a few things that suck that come from Japan.
Well, you know that is their way, Patrick.
To an extent, yes.
To release an inferior product is without honor.
Well, or it belongs in a vending machine then.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So, I didn't know if I was getting a vending machine spatula.
The price would have told you that.
It would have told me
Yes.
that in all honesty, because to cheat on something like that brings dishonor to
Is
you and your
without
family.
honor, yes,
Without
that is
honor,
correct,
yeah. Excuse me. So, but anyway, that thing saved me a lot. So, and then there's just a couple other tricks that I just like. Okay, so what do you want? You either want the good one or the cheap one. Never buy the middle one.
Right.
Yeah. That's what my parents always did. They always, well, this isn't as expensive, but it's better than that shitty one. And then it'd break, and it'd be like, well, now you got to buy two. So if you're gonna buy two, buy the cheapest one. So, or if you don't want to buy two, buy the good one.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And so
That is vacuum theory 101.
absolutely, that's why you get the fucking what's the what's the expensive ones that they still sell door to door?
The Kirby's.
The Kirby's,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Kirby's, those are one. There's another one out there too. I can't remember what it is. There's
It's not the
another
Shark Vac.
There's another
Yeah.
like Cadillac model out there.
Right.
That it's you're starting at like $1,200
Mhm.
starting.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, but it'll pull the glue from underneath your carpet, so yeah, and it won't break. So
Well, then again, I do know some people that bought one and it broke,
Yeah.
and they didn't service it very well. But that is not. I know that all products have a failure rate, and
They
it's
do.
going to be so. I'm not going to go into that. So just because anecdotally I know someone that had a problem with a Kirby,
right.
doesn't mean that they are.
Yeah.
But no. So this was the funny thing was this goes into the Tony Robbins thing. She was she's like, here's one thing I hate about Russia. It's like, you don't go.
Now, is she from Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I know. Yeah, you've talked about her before.
Well, this is a different person.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it is, but this is a person that actually lived in many places, including this is the first person I know that lived in Yakutsk.
Where the fuck is that? That's got to be out in Siberia, man.
That is the peninsula, all the way out at the end.
That's the Kamchatka.
That is
Holy shit!
That is
The Risk Battleground
I-
Royale.
I was. She said it was, and she's like, "Oh, I even lived here for a bit." She said it. I was like, "From Risk," That's a real place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she even lived there for a little bit, and what she was saying, she was like, you don't go back to Russia once you live here. I'm like, why? And she's like, you don't understand.
Right.
She's like, um, it wasn't just the mentality. It was just like they don't disguise it, right? There's nothing original there. It is, what are the Americans doing?
Oh,
Rip it off wholesale.
I've heard that.
Right? And I was like, oh, well, China does that too. She's like, oh, yeah, I know. I hate these.
Yeah.
And what she was saying was, she told me his name, but basically it was Russian Tony Robbins.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Why wouldn't there be a Russian Tony Robbins? Yeah.
Well, the thing was, this was the thing, but okay. So that was what made me laugh. She was like, so it's line for line, he's doing the same thing. He's
Sure.
essentially running the exact same game. Same kind of looking guy, right? Everything like that. But then his bonus feature, right, was that it was all that plus he was money laundering.
Well, as you do. Yeah. You're right, yeah.
But that was my question. It was like, I know the kind of money that Tony Robbins pulls in, right? I have seen the costs of his shit.
Oh, yeah.
And that dude is wealthy 100 times
Oh,
over.
fuck yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, this dude, this Russian guy, total superstar, everything, huge over there. Why do that and launder money?
Because you can. So,
That's
yeah.
the thing that I don't quite get.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Yeah. No, I've had, so I haven't had a student from Russia proper. I don't think I've had one from Ukraine either, but I've definitely had them from like Hungary and Romania.
Oh, okay.
I gotta, yeah, one of my, he kind of turned into a bit of a friend because we kept in touch for years after he graduated, who just was desperate to get out of fucking Romania. So, but yeah, I used to run into him at the bar every now and then. He would go into the Slav mind when he got a little drunk.
The Slav.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, exactly.
explain.
Well,
Okay.
this is what he would be talking about. This thing in particular is like, you don't get so many chances, so when you do get a chance, you fucking take it. So, you know, and so that would be like, well, you got to have money in order to launder money. So, you know, it's not like, you know, little like one-legged Timothy out there. So Tiny Tim is laundering money because he doesn't have any to start with, right? So, right, yeah.
Right.
So you get a mediocre of success somewhere, and then, you know, it's like, well, that opens new doors, and so you better go through those doors while you have a chance because they're not always going to be there. So kind of thing. So
And you'd better be ready for it. So
right. Well, and you
basically,
better know what you're doing, or find a guy who knows what he's doing, and they can cut him in on it. So
you're
yeah.
in a permanent state of basically, well, you know, waiting to make your bones.
Well, it's not just that. It's just like you don't know if you're going to be around tomorrow. So it's a very kind of like, you know, fatalistic, you know, there's not really, I mean, so there's actually been a lot of research out there where they look at cultural norms, okay? So, and then different types of, like different, kind of like realms of whether, you know, you have a hyper masculine society or not, okay?
Oh,
So there's
yeah.
no such thing as like a feminist society, you know, kind of thing, or at least not one that exists in the wild.
Matriarchal or
Those do exist, but they're not.
Poland is one of them. Evidently.
Yeah, but they're kind of like, well, you could say the same thing's true about Israel, but I don't think anybody would say that it's a feminist society. So, you know,
No.
right? Yeah, exactly. So,
No.
you know, when you're thinking about these things, they're not opposites on a spectrum. Okay, what it is like, how male is it? So,
Okay.
you know, is it like less male, where it's roughly, you know, like there's, you know, do we have equal rights and stuff like that? You know,
Right.
or is it like, you know, super hyper masculine like China? So, you know, where basically, you know, it's like everything that, I mean, the whole like one child policy, right? Yeah.
Okay, tell me how
Led
you
to some
rank this.
really bad things.
Okay, before I jump into that, tell me how you rank this then. Like, which would be more masculine in terms of that regard versus, like, say, Middle Eastern countries versus, say, China?
Probably the Middle Eastern companies, because not only is it cultural, but it's also religious at that point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think they were saying, like, I don't know. This has been a little while since I've actually cracked the research on this, but like masculinity is really strong in the Middle East and Africa, and then then it gets less the more Western you kind of get. So with like most of South America being kind of like, it depends on the country, you know, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then Europe being pretty not. So, yeah. And then you get into Eastern Europe, and yeah, it gets a little bit more.
There's this thing where it's like,
so
is it Europe or is it Europe? What part of
you get towards countries that formerly were in a thing not called NATO.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how,
Yeah.
one kid referred to it to me. He's like, is it NATO Europe or is it
NATO Europe? Yeah. So yeah, with some like the Scandinavian countries being like your lowest ones, so in terms of hypermasculinity, but. That's just one of the dimensions. One of the other dimensions is like power distance. It's like, is it okay to talk to somebody who's your social superior? So there's a lot of countries where it's not okay to do that. So yeah. And then back to the Tony Robbins thing. Well, wait a minute. Where was I going with that? There's another dimension on there that we were
talking about the Slavic mind. We were talking about basically the.
Do you plan for tomorrow? So that's actually one is, do you have a future orientation or present orientation? And so the present orientation is like, fuck it, you might die tonight, so, party today. So, and that's very much so a lot of those Eastern European cultures, and Russia in particular, where it's like, bus hits you tonight, you didn't launder money. So you better do it. Well, you can, yeah. And so, but it's all very, very well-established research. So it's been around for about, 30 years or so. Actually, some of it goes back to the 60s. So I teach some of that shit when I talk about corporate culture because,
Do you?
Yeah, corporate cultures are pretty similar too, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can kind of define them on similar dimensions. So, yeah, especially when you're dealing with international clients. So, that's why you go to certain like Middle Eastern countries. I mean, power distance is a fucking thing. And so, you don't get in the door unless you bribe somebody. So, that's just normal.
That's what they were saying Russia is too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
well, and it's funny too. The like you said about Israel, right? A lot of people that come from Israel or things like that, and I mean that was the like it can't be feminist because I'm like, so how was it different? I'm talking to somebody that was a school counselor there, and it's like,
right.
No, you didn't. The thing you hated most was Parents' Night. Right.
Oh, right.
And I was like, why? It's like, well, because on Parents' Night, the parents are there. I'm like, I understand, but
right, yeah.
It's like, no, you don't understand. It's like they do things that they would not do in the States. They would never. No parent is coming in on Parents' Night and just trying to get their counselor's numbers and being aggressive on it and stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm like, wow, really? It's all the time. That's just how it is, right?
I've heard that.
There's a certain, I don't want to say aggression towards, I don't want to say dating because that's not even dating. That's not even courtship. That's just straight up but that's just something that you don't see in the States, except in rare cases. And when that happens, people are like, ugh.
In the United States, henpecking is distinctly frowned upon. So, that's why we have Karens. That's why that whole thing became a thing. And in other cultures, it's like, well, yeah, no, she's right. She should get 2 of those for free. Right? It's on the fucking coupon. So, right? Whereas here, it's like, take your coupon and shove it up your ass. Stop being a dick. Yeah.
There's a line here.
Right, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not hold up the line. Even when you're right, it's like, don't hold up the
line. That makes you wrong very quickly, yeah. So,
Yeah. Whereas, you talk about being able to address your superiors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's Asian cultures, you don't look your boss in the eye.
No, you don't. In fact, there's a specific, in Japan, there's a specific order in which you have to sit down.
Yeah.
And they're specific seats. So, and if you fuck that up, it's all based upon rank seniority and stuff, which is both sometimes real and other times perceived, and so it's fascinating. So yeah, there's high power distance, you don't go up and you don't shake the emperor's fucking hand. So, no. I mean, they won't shoot you, but
but there will be a how dare you?
You'll be, your trip is going to get a lot shorter real fast.
Barbarian.
Yeah, you barbarian.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
stupid baka guy. Yeah, it's
exactly.
it's that it's the thing, where it's like, so the top person takes this one seat, but the next top person takes the next seat, and he's going to be pouring the drinks for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
That is its own position of honor, but the
Right.
top seat is the guy who pays.
Jiro dreams of sushi. Yeah,
And
exactly.
the top guy's the guy who pays, and that's the honor.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, why is that an honor? It's like, well, because that means he has more than the rest of
Right, yeah, he's a provider.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah,
Right.
no.
It's a real fucking backwards ass like alpha male shit in manifested in the weirdest way, right?
I mean, I see a little bit of logic to it. I wouldn't say it's backward ass. So
No,
it's just different.
No, it is backwards because within the actual animal kingdom, the alpha eats first.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Then the scavengers come.
I gotta be honest with this. The more podcasts and shit that I consume that talk about like direct links between animal fucking evolutionary psychology and what you actually see people do, it's like people don't do that, you know. So obviously there's a little bit of a gap in species here, you know. And stop giving me that like, oh, it's baked into your fucking DNA kind of things. It's like, well, not if you grow up in Japan. So and those people are still human. So obviously, right? Yeah.
Theoretically, I've never opened one up and actually verified the parts.
Right? Yeah, it's got a fucking, like they got like Iron Man hearts in them. Or
Well,
something.
that's the thing. I've never looked inside. I've never actually checked that a Japanese person is factory. There could be a lot of aftermarket shit in there.
There could be a lot of aftermarket shit bolted on. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's the point, though, man. I mean, like, yeah, you see things out there nowadays, and like I've been watching this one guy, and he's been talking all about like trends that are like shaping the way that Western civilization is going to die, and blah blah blah. He's like talking about going against our genetic code, and I'm like, no, man, like it's not that hardwired. I mean, you can take anybody and throw them through boot camp, and they become a different person. So it's got nothing to do with their fucking physiology. So yeah, so. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, so the social norms are one thing, all right? So how strictly enforced they are is your second thing. So you need to ask yourself those two questions before you're saying, something along the lines of like, oh, this is fucking alpha male fucking classic behavior, and it's like tearing us apart because we're not allowing people to like run around and stab poor people, in your like Hunger Games kind of thing. Yeah.
Fight the real enemy.
Fight the real enemy. Yeah.
Well, you're right. Okay, and so the thing about that, I can argue that there are perhaps elements to it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But I can also sit there and say, like, all right, then how do you explain? I mean, this is the thing is we started this discussion before the button started. We started talking about big cats and dogs, which manifested themselves as like jungle cats and wolves, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying that you found there's kind of like you saw that as kind of like a fearful...
A primordial fear of wolf teeth, yeah. So...
Okay, can you explain?
Oh, they just find them freaky. So if you find like a profile of like, if you were to actually draw a wolf and then take everything out except for its teeth, I find that terrifying. So it's just scary for me.
Oh, the teeth?
Yeah, the teeth in particular. Oh. So yeah.
But the look, like...
Well, I don't know. When you see one that's fully like... hunched up and snarly and stuff, I find that to be terrifying personally. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not going to I'm not going to dispute that for a second. Same thing, like, and a lot of this has to come through, at least for me, with the proximity of this in real life. I can sit there and look at fucking mountain lions on television or programs or something like this. See one in the real life, I'm like, that thing could fuck me up.
Oh yeah.
But this is the thing is, to use that same logic, right? There are plenty of wolves and jungle cats and things like that that have grown up in captivity.
And they're fine. They're harmless.
You sit there and I'm like, that cat is just taking so many belly rubs.
Right? Oh, I know.
And that's a lion. That's,
rip your head off. Yeah.
Same thing. I've seen full-grown adults sitting there like baby wrestling with, wolves and things like this, right? And you sit there and say like, well, if it's baked in the DNA, that dude would be eating you. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like, actually, what he would do is basically, according to this theory, he would see this as a challenge to the hierarchy in the pack.
Yeah.
Right. And you would fight, and if you won, you now are the pack leader, and it would slink away, or you would slink away.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not happening, is it?
No, we're getting all kinds of wolf pets.
The bullshit that gets into me is like where people are like, well, it's genetic. I'm like, what part of genes makes you think that there's a little man in there typing code
Oh,
you
right,
know
yeah.
like no this is the shit that gets me. It's like, no,
Yeah.
this is genetic. I'm like, no, man, genetics is like, do you have freckles, right?
Right, yeah,
Genetics
exactly.
is
Yeah.
like fingers or like webbed fingers, right?
Right, yeah.
And I understand that there's
Are
things
your
for,
earlobes attached or not? Yeah,
yeah,
right, yeah.
and I understand that there's room for, of course, like mutation and thing like that here, but in terms of like strong codes toward like if then flowchart shit, that is
Yeah.
not part of the
No.
genes,
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm in complete agreement. I just see like, there's like a lot of narratives out there that are like they're really trying to make things that deterministic, and
It's
so
ridiculous.
I agree that
It's
it's
ridiculous.
ridiculous, but I see people glom onto it, and it's just like, oh well, no, this is deterministic, in one way or another. It's like, no, actually, yeah, that has a lot to do with the neighborhood that dude grew up in.
Doesn't
So
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So
If I'm going to sit there and say, like, all right, because the problem here, this is the real problem that I have with this here, is if you believe that for a second, right, then what you have to do is then I have to apply these same principles that you're talking about to humans.
right,
And then I would sit there and say, like, well, okay, well, then based on crime statistics, this group is genetically disposed
right,
towards, higher crime levels,
right,
right? And that's phrenology, right? Now I could turn around and say, well, what I can say about patterns is if one of you has gone to prison,
right,
and you guys have an understanding that it's okay to go to prison,
right.
whereas your average white person will spend every last dime they have to either stop or get out of going to prison. Why? Because they see that as a death sentence for their family or their career.
So I saw this today, it kind of blew my mind. What is the highest matchup? So we're talking matchup here, crime by race. So like black on black crime or black on Mexican.
Oh, you mean
Which one is the highest proportion of all crimes in the United States?
in terms of within the same race?
Any, like, put all the cards out on the
Or
table.
are you saying race against other race?
Both.
Well, the highest is white or black on white.
No, it's not. It's not even close. It's white on white.
Oh,
White on white crime is fucking, like, if you put those two stats on there,
like violent crime.
violent crime. If you
Okay.
take black on black and white on white's actually higher than black on black. And both of them fucking dwarf any interracial crime. So,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's like crazy. You never see that in the statistics, though, man.
No, you won't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I thought you were talking. That's where I was. Is like that's was like that's race against race. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. You don't even count that.
No, they're tiny. So it's, yeah, interracial crime is actually extremely rare. So,
You know what's actually extremely rare? Crime.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We were talking about that the other night. Crime itself is actually extremely rare. So everybody thinks it's fucking terrible, though. So I don't get that one, man. So,
Well, you do get it. You know why? That's news. That's
oh yeah,
that's,
you're
that's
right.
presentation.
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's the omnipresence of basically creating a danger that doesn't exist.
right. Yeah, didn't we? So we were talking on Sunday. Wasn't there like another shooting the next morning? So, or was that the same day? The Texas one. So
It could have been.
It could have been, yeah.
You know, that's it was the same.
is this the one with the Mexican guy who has Showstopper bolts tattooed on him?
This is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever seen in my life. This is.
Wait a minute. Are the Showstopper bolts bullshit?
I don't. Well, here's the thing: is I don't know. I
okay.
don't know. But it's amazing that somehow that motive got sniffed out in seconds, right? You go back a couple of weeks
Yeah.
here, it's like, okay, so you're telling me that dude mows down a whole bunch of people in Wakusha, right? No motive. You got a trans shooter who they still haven't released the manifesto of, right?
Is this the guy in San Francisco? So, no. Which one are you talking about? There's been so many lately. So,
This was the one. Shit, we had one here.
well, yeah, that was last fall. So,
This I'm starting to lose. Like
Yeah.
this all start. No, Oklahoma City. Yeah. No. Tennessee.
oh, Tennessee. Yeah.
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. Has a manifesto.
We haven't seen it yet.
No. And we may not. Right.
That depends
But-
on the trial. So,
Well, they are arguing about who actually has it.
oh, the manifesto?
Yeah.
I thought it was on the internet.
Nope.
Oh, it was handwritten?
No. It wasn't on the internet. The it's been recovered. The question is whether the FBI has it or the Tennessee cops have it, right? And both sides have said the other guys have it, right? And now the argument is
That's
that
weird.
I know,
Yeah, that's
I know.
weird.
And then the whole part is like they said that there's an impending lawsuit about this that may impact, like, that has nothing to do with it, right?
I don't know. It might.
Well,
Yeah.
it never stopped anybody before.
Well,
but,
it can though, man. I mean, the judge can decide to tie that shit up.
But that's
so.
what I'm saying is so.
But if the two agencies are like, no, I don't have it, you don't have it, you know, it's like, well, who the fuck has it? So
Yeah, the Tennessee.
I mean, there's got to be an evidence trail. So yeah, somebody got to go do the reading.
But that's what I'm saying here is like, all right, so, but on this one, don't you have manifesto, don't release it, no real motive, right? Don't release it. This one happens 2 minutes later, they're like, this is white supremacy. I'm like,
Is that just because it was like the pictures were actually on the internet and people could verify them? So
they weren't pictures of him.
oh, they weren't.
No.
Oh, see, I don't know. I didn't read into it because I was like, whatever. There's another one.
No, this is the thing is, okay, so
this is when you see glaring shoe stuffables. It's kind of like, oh, okay.
So yeah, there's material that's put out there that is supposedly by this guy. He doesn't have a job, right? This is clearly cartel related.
Oh,
right?
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because yeah, he's this is ridiculous. And yeah, so they're
Is he Mexican?
Yeah. He's from
Like
Mexico.
actual from Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why would a guy from the cartel have shoe stuffables?
Why would a guy from the cartel be up here shooting people?
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah,
I mean that's the
weird.
thing.
Yeah.
And so they go on this.
Especially since didn't that happen like a month ago where those people went down there to get like fucking gastric bypass and they shut them all up.
And that was the cartel, like
the cartel gave the guys over. Yeah, exactly.
That was not supposed to happen.
So
we know. Yeah, this is. But yeah, so the thing on this, they found the profile of this guy's social media.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
Kills people in the States, but this
wasn't a shooting though, was it?
It was shooting.
Oh, I thought he ran him over the car, or is that a different one?
Yeah, that's
okay. Never mind.
But the thing on this one here is get this, his social media page, okay, has like no visits.
Oh, that's sus.
And it's Russian.
Okay, all right.
This is what I'm saying, and what it is, it's
Russian social media. It's not even on like Facebook or something.
No, it's basically like on Russian Facebook, and what it is, it's a collection of pictures, right?
Yeah.
All pulled off of Reddit of people in.
So it's not even the same guy.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't look like it, but it's supposedly his collection of Mexican white nationalism.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This stinks of bullshit.
Yeah, it totally stinks of bullshit. Other than the fact that people are dead. So
yeah. And the people that are dead, that's the thing is like, this doesn't seem quite too random, right?
Oh, I got you.
So that's.
But he's dead. They killed him, right?
Oh yeah, I killed the shit.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll never figure it out then, because they won't give a shit. So like he did, and so off it goes.
But that's what I'm saying here is like, what is the?
Well, they might. You never know.
Well, no, but what I'm saying here is like, all right, this is the same thing you and I talk about in terms of specters of what people are afraid of. It's like, all right, yeah, we're joking about how these crimes are happening, and the way we're losing track of them, it's like, well, shit, this must be happening every single day. It must be happening with 340 million Americans, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is going to happen, right? It's not going to happen statistically to us.
Well, and that's the point, is like the frequency of it's not increasing. So we just hear about it a lot more.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing where, guys, I'm going to break it to you one last time. There is no dangerous faction of white nationalists in this country. There is nobody that actually has any degree of actual power that goes all the way to the government, to any institution. Yes, you do have dweebs. You have people out there. Dweebs.
You have a lot of, what are they called? Wearaboos? Fans of your German military?
Yeah.
So you do have some gun guys. I don't know, man. So like there's a couple groups out there that I do. I mean, so like not so much Proud Boys. I think they were always a joke. In fact, they started as a joke. And then, you know, some guys took it in a direction, and
Right.
those guys are going to
Right.
jail now. So
Yeah.
apparently.
But evidently that's in trouble too.
Yeah, no, they're probably not going to get pinched. So for too terribly long on those things.
Evidently
So,
the juries on these are fucking ridiculous.
what do you mean?
The people serving on juries for like fucking Proud Boy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a thing where they're saying that they had 4 people on one jury that all had admitted to being tied to or participated in like BLM marches.
Oh yeah, no, that's great grounds for an appeal right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like,
No, some of the Oath Keeper shit is a little dangerous though, man. So
Oath Keepers, weren't they just?
they're a little bit more
Didn't they
dangerous.
start out as? Didn't they start as a religious, like, revival group here? Did it turn into something different?
So Oath Keepers was always a part of. It did have a religious revival, but it was specifically baked towards people who were serving in the military. So it's the same thing with them and the 3%ers. And so this is that Praetorian class that I need you to watch out for.
Promise Keepers. That's what I'm
Promise
thinking of.
Keepers.
Those are the guys I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry,
Promise
I'm sorry.
Keepers are completely different.
Yeah.
Those are the guys
My
who,
bad.
you know,
Yeah.
keep your ring and, you know, stick with your kids and stuff like that.
Yes.
Don't cheat on your
Yes.
wife. And yes, that was all tied to that fucking complex.
Because
up
I
there.
remember they would have these
Yeah.
huge gatherings.
Enormous. Absolutely
Yeah.
enormous.
Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies.
No,
Yeah.
no. No, Oath Keepers was something that was actually a little bit more. So that's the part behind the oath thing is you took an oath, you know, and so,
Okay.
but, you know, there were some guys who, you know, like, I don't know. I knew a couple guys who were in Oath Keepers. I knew one guy, he was very, very cool dude, high up in the Air Force and stuff.
Yeah.
Very moral, upstanding kind of guy. And he was part of this group. He would have never gone to the Capitol. So,
Right.
because he's like, no, I'm sworn an oath, and my oath is this, you know, to protect, defend the Constitution, which means this
Yeah.
dude needs to lay down his power. And so, you know, because that's how it fucking works. And so you play the game that you sign up for. And so
The rules.
the rules, right?
Yeah.
Yes, let's go back to the rules. Yeah.
The
So
rules.
it's on paper. Get
Yeah.
out the manual. We got to
Yeah.
figure out, like, you know, who do subs attack first or not? You know.
Look, man, and that being said, you know, within that crowd, yes, there is plenty of room for. Well, it wasn't illegal when I did,
Right,
it,
exactly.
which is fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. Okay.
But like within the military in particular, and some of the guys, not so much like your enlisted guys, but you do get some guys in the officer corps, you know, who start to get pretty
Yeah.
fucking political when they
bit,
get a little
yeah.
bit older. And
Yeah.
then, you know, because like my brother, he told me horror stories about this one colonel that he used to work for. And guess where he was on January 6th? Yeah. So, yeah.
Was he there?
Yes, he was. So, you know, and it's just like, this is way after retirement and stuff like that, too. It's like, bro, it's not your army. It's not your fucking country. We all have to share it. So, you know, like when you get out of the army, it doesn't belong to you. So that fucking unit that you're in charge of for the last 4 years of your life, it's not yours.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And even though that over there, I declare that my Taco Bell, and I get pissed off when people are in line in front of me, like they stole my fucking idea. I know it's not.
You know it's not. Yeah. So, but some guys make that leap over there, and so that's kind of where that Oath Keepers thing was going. Now, there's probably a lot of legit, just absolutely normal guys who get involved in that shit. So that's fine. You know, like my buddy, and of course he wasn't there on that day. So because that's the last place he would fucking be. You know. So, but yeah, there is this kind of Praetorian like class in the military, and then it's not just military; it's also like federal law enforcement. It's also it's fucking local law enforcement. So you know you'll find it in there too. So you'll also find it in maybe some branches of the federal government, but not as much as you will in like DOD. You know, and,
it's a numbers game, man.
It's totally a numbers game, but it's also like, so you got to take a look at your most mission-oriented parts of the federal government. Your FBI's up there, the DOD's up there, the CIA's up there, the IRS, you know,
It remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen, but the IRS, like, very few people go in the IRS and work there for 50 fucking years. So, you know,
Fair enough,
like, you know, you go there to get your teeth cut, you know, you don't go there because you're fucking going to catch Al Capone, you know, kind of thing.
Unless you are that guy.
Unless you're that guy. Yeah.
One guy.
That's one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the other guys,
team.
right? Most of the other guys around you, they're there for the benefits, the location, the hours, or you know, like, hey, yeah, you know, I kind of like working for the federal government. It's not like a fucking mission,
Yeah.
So it's different.
Yeah.
Whereas like your ATF guys, that's a fucking mission,
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
and those guys, I think they get a little dangerous and they need to be disciplined from time to time. So
I would agree. I think there's a certain amount of pretend transparency that goes on,
oh
and
sure, yeah.
it would be wise to actually sort of open those doors, because
They get popped every now and then, so especially times like now where you have split control of Congress. So yeah, you get a little bit more than you would if it's just like completely on one side or the other, because then they just line up behind the government. So whoever's in charge at that point in time. So
and that's a problem.
it is kind of a problem, but at the same point in time, I think it's a feature. It's not a bug, because people in those fields, they're sitting there, they're gonna try and protect their careers. So even if they don't agree with who the fucking president is at that point in time. So
I get it.
and I'm not saying all of them do that. Sure, some of them definitely get out over their skis. So but
Yeah.
but I would say that most of them probably like fuck it, whatever. So just wait 4 years. Management will change soon.
No, I understand that. I mean, there are some things going on right now that are highly suspect, but I'm not. I'm gonna reserve comment on that for how things wash out the next few days. I did see. So you and I were talking about the what was it, Title 42 stuff.
Yeah, what's the deal on that?
Okay, so the whole thing about this, right?
Because the court struck it down, right? That's why it's ending. Yes.
No, the court didn't strike it down. It was expiring.
Oh, okay.
Title 42 was COVID based.
Yeah. I knew that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was basically so the process on this works where so we can't accept asylum seekers coming through there unless they basically have they applied for asylum somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Right. It was the thing that gave them the right to turn people away at the border because they came from a quote unquote infectious nation. Right.
Infectious nation.
Yeah.
This is a nation without vaccines, meaning all of them.
It's a convenience.
Right,
But
right.
let me put it to you that way. So now that being said, so it was going to expire, and that's why they had, my understanding here is that all the extra guards down there, and there's an issue with Texas right now, right? This is where they were having a big time legal kerfluffle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Texas itself could basically look at this as basically like an invasion force, right? It was with
I guess.
They're
not armed.
Well, don't
I got you.
me. I'm just going about the side of the law here, and so those troops there were for, they're guessing one of two things: for additional processing,
Yeah.
right? Or it was for potentially some kind of pushback. Whatever.
Yeah, but they're not armed, and so when you deploy the National Guard like that, they don't carry weapons.
But here's the thing: is all right. So as of this morning, okay, Biden reversed the policy.
To do what?
Keep it as it is.
Well, how can he do that if it's expiring?
You got me.
Oh.
But the rules are going to stay in place as they are.
So it's not a law? I thought it was a law.
Well, no. So if you notice just the other day, the big medical guys, they said the COVID pandemic, it's over.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So if that's over, then you can't really go with Title 42 anymore because this is a pandemic related.
Well, what is Title 42? Is it an executive order or is it a fucking law?
Because if it's an executive order.
Well, yeah, then he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
I believe it's an executive order, but that's the gist of it. Right?
Okay, all right.
And the biggest, like I was talking to you about, so you and I talked about, so what is the actual number? Well, the big swell is from Venezuela.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
There are
me.
80,000 Venezuelans.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
and that's where essentially the asylum part comes in, right? Because we've been taking Venezuela. I know something.
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah, no.
But that's the thing is, that's where they're like, have you applied somewhere else first, right?
Can you apply for asylum in Venezuela?
Well, it would be basically like to Mexico because it's basically.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
If you're passing through countries, right, and not applying for asylum, right, till you get to here, right? That was their big hang up.
So that's when they turn you away. Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know. So like, I mean, I couldn't get. So I thought there was something about Title 42 in the courts that happened a little while ago. The Supreme Court did something with it, but I couldn't figure it out. So I don't know. Yeah, it wouldn't matter if it's a law, if it's part of the pandemic aid package, whatever
Right.
that they passed. You know,
Right.
that actual like I can't remember what it, the
Emergency
the
shit.
emergency
whatever.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's a law, I mean, he has to follow it. So if it's an executive order, then yeah, he can just fucking change it. So
And that's
okay.
that's why it was his decision this morning, and he reversed on it, right? So a lot of people are fucking pissed. Actually, that's the decision that
I don't think you can win on this one, man.
that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Because they were even talking about the big thing like last night going into this morning, right? They were talking about what the fuck are they going to do with all these people, right?
Mhm.
And so there were big talks about where are they going next, where like
So they just like half of them just stuck in Juarez. Okay. All right.
and this is that's the thing, and they raise a good point. They're like, all right, so you're applying for asylum here. It's like, yes, but you had to pass through all of these countries to get here. It's like, yes, go on. It's like, so you're telling me that you wouldn't seek asylum in any of these places, even though you're already there,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
And that's where the nature of that piece came from.
Well, I don't think too many people are banging on the door to get into Mexico. So, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Is it not Venezuela? Well, yeah, that's the point.
Right. Well, maybe, but not really. I mean,
Depends on where you're going. Yeah.
Well, your objective is to get in the United States. I think that'd be pretty
That's
clear.
the issue.
Well,
Right.
I don't see why that's an issue because, of course, that's what they're trying to do.
Is-
yeah.
You know, because then you say like, okay, well then, what does that do for basically our ratios, what we have set up here that we're supposed to be taking?
Yeah, it's just
That's the problem, right?
No, I liked your plan. So, you know,
I think that's genius.
I would up it though. I would actually do it so that we were growing a little bit in population. So we have quite a bit of room to grow. So I saw this thing on Wyoming the other day, like exactly how there's like almost no other place on Earth that's so sparsely populated.
That is habitable. That's
habitable.
the
Yeah, exactly.
yes.
That's habitable.
That's
so
the
yeah.
distinction. Yes.
Yeah, they were comparing it to like even Alaska has more people per like square acre than Wyoming does, and I was like, that's pretty crazy, man, if you think about it. You know, and it's like, so yeah, we got a little bit of room. You know, like yeah, so if you want to flee your socialist fucking bullshit country and come here and make a living for yourself and pay taxes, I don't have a problem with that.
I know.
So,
I
yeah.
don't, as long as it's processed. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing.
I
is-
got you.
My whole argument about this has always been this is like we play games when it comes to immigration on this.
Oh, we love it.
We have rules in place, right? And we debate whether or not we should enforce these or not. My whole thing is if they're there, you
Yeah.
enforce them. You argue the merits about whether you should change them.
Yeah.
And if you change them, go ahead.
See,
Because
personally, I think the president's hands should be tied on this, man. You should just have a law, so an actual enforceable
got it.
law.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm
so
fine
stop
with
playing
that.
fucking 4-year politics with the shit, and somebody just pass something that actually works, you know, and stays in place. But like, okay, so if I'm a congressman out of El Paso, I'm gonna want something fucking very different than someone's in Michigan, you know. So on the Upper Peninsula, you know, and so
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just like fucking. It's one of those things again where I don't know, and this is pure speculation, but there's probably been enough immigration reform. I know there's an Immigration Reform Act. It goes back to like the 80s. Okay. But it's so baseline and it probably just gives a whole bunch of authority to the president to decide certain shit in it. So because our guy was in power and we like our guy at that point in time. And then, you know, you got to think about it 10 years later. It's like, well, you guys not going to be in power. You guys not going to like
I know.
that. So, you know. And then, yeah, like the same thing, like Donald Trump. I mean, you get a single piece of fucking legislation punched through, and so you just delete all his policies and stamp Joe Biden's name on them now. So, you know.
Well, again, it's the quote unquote kids in cages has not changed,
No, it hasn't.
right? It's just undergone 4 different names,
Yep.
right? At this point, right?
Yep.
So like,
It's been 4 different fucking presidents. Yeah.
and you turn around, it's like, oh, so let me get this straight. Fucking AOC only cried at one.
Right, yeah, which is
Like,
kind of like, well,
fuck you.
oh no, man, that's completely predictable.
That's pathetic.
I know, but
No,
you
well,
know,
no,
hey, man, that's
it's
how you stay in office. So fuck it.
I know.
Yeah, if it makes your people in Brooklyn happy, whatever, or
I
the
know.
Bronx or wherever
I
she's
know.
from.
Fucking.
So
But yeah, that's sort of it. So yeah, it's a continuation of this. So yeah, he kind of reversed course, and again, it's the decision that so you have one side it's like that's the right call. I just wish you didn't make it, and then you have the other
right,
side.
yeah, so it's not going to make the news, man. Yeah,
Right, and then you have the
so
other
that's a
side.
fucking shit decision, but you're my guy.
And then you have the other side
Right,
where
right,
it's
yeah.
kind of like you did what? What's a guy? You know, and yeah,
Right.
and
Now we got to gyrate to try and make it seem like it was our idea. Fuck it, man. It's so
the
funny, man.
pivot, I know.
Dude, I love it. I kind of, I hate to say it, but I do kind of love it when you actually have someone like either Donald Trump or Joe Biden just completely give the middle finger to their party. You
I
know?
think it should happen more often.
Well, it happens in situations like this where you have a split legislature. So, you know?
Yeah.
And when you have a president who's willing to play ball with the other side. So, or like probably believes a lot of what they say, but can't say it, you know, because,
Right.
yeah, you know. Like I was reading up on that a little while ago. Like Joe Biden's trade policies are more restrictive than Donald Trump's. And you don't hear the party, which was screaming fucking bloody murder 2.5 years ago
It's
about
fucking racist. It was
racist. Yeah, exactly. You know, now he's just like crickets over there. And it's like, that's kind of funny, you know? So because he's your guy, I gotcha. So he's on blue team. So you guys all shut up on this shit now. So, but like, you know, like the whole CHIPS Act and all that shit, you know, it's way more restrictive than anything Donald Trump was doing. So, I mean, it's downright fucking punitive on countries like China. So, which I don't have a problem with. No. So, you know.
No, I agree. Yeah, and that's the. It's a weird thing. I mean, yeah, it's still sports because you sit there and say
It is
like
still a
you
little
could
sports.
take the most you could take the most hardened homophobe in the business, but you know if he's your quarterback and he's throwing touchdowns and he's winning the Super Bowl, like it comes a part where you have to say like I don't know, let me get as much dick as he wants to, as long as he's winning Super Bowls for us, right? You put aside certain things. Now, do I think that's ridiculous? It's like yeah, I would. Look, I'm aware that most politicians are caricatures of themselves. I believe that they have a core that believes certain things, but usually in a mild kind of way.
Yeah.
But I think they turn it up to 11 for people that do believe things significantly more strongly than they do.
Well, they know where their bread is buttered.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that I'll never take away from Donald Trump was he absolutely positively showed that it's not the dollars that matter, it's the votes, you know. And you do what you. Wait, I'm sorry, man. I might
Oh, no,
grab
no,
a little
no.
bit
That's
too
quite
much
all
there.
right. Yeah.
So, you want some more?
No.
Okay. But you know that's that. And I give him a lot of credit for that because for years I was on that train, you know, where it was like, oh, it's the fucking donors, it's like that's what matters and everything and blah blah blah. Dan Carlin was on that train for years, so with his podcast before he gave up on the politics because he doesn't understand it, you know, and he basically said so, you know. And then the same thing, like I remember what was it? It was either 2016 or 2012 when I actually supported this outside, I think it was 2016, where there's an outside candidate who was all about campaign finance reform. He's a brilliant dude. So
I know who that is.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
his name, but yeah.
Larry Lessig. So loved him, man. So and then 2016 just completely blew that entire thing up. It's like, well, actually, you know what? It's not the fucking money; it's the votes. So obviously,
Can you get them to align?
right? Can
Yeah.
you get them to align? That's the hard part now, you know. Whereas before it was all like, oh, fucking Microsoft is just basically using this guy as a sock puppet, you know? It's like, no, actually, no, that's not how it works, man. So,
They
you
do
know,
have influence. Don't
they
get me
have
wrong,
influence, sure, but it only goes so far. And if it gets outed, it gets undone really fast. So, you know, and that's why, like, if you take a look at corporate finance, like corporate donations to campaigns after 2016, they basically evaporate now. So, you know, they're like, well, that's a fucking waste of money. You know, maybe like on a local election where you know you're in charge of a huge developer, you put some money behind a mayor, so which is going on right now. But
well,
anyway,
this is basically the Soros-backed DA thing, and this is true.
exactly.
Right?
So you know, but eventually you get outed for that shit. So
Yeah,
and
they're crumbling.
oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of them's had like what fucking 3 recall elections or something. Yeah, because they said, oh, there's Soros money behind this, and so that attracts like opposite money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
But that was a strategy. It was like, well, go small then, right? Go small. Go
It
small where you can
completely
have
blew up.
influence.
Yeah.
You find out it's like, what are you doing?
Actually, it's a lot easier to lose those races, you know. So
Well, yeah, but I mean, in theory, like your money can go a lot further.
yeah, that's the theory.
Less money can
Yeah.
go further, right? Versus, yeah, you can put, like you said, 2016. I dumped a ton of money into this, and you said, wait, you've lost?
A fuckload of money. I mean, like a record-breaking amount of money.
Yeah.
It just like basically pissed it out, you know. So it was like drinking the most expensive whiskey and all of it that you could. It turned to piss.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not how it works, man. So I was actually listening to Mark Blythe today. So
What do you have to say?
Well,
I haven't
he's-
checked in on him in a while.
yeah, he's got a little lefty on some things, so I can only tolerate too much of him.
Mm.
But I mean, he's still really good on the economics piece. And today he was basically saying like, nobody knows shit anymore about how the economy works. I mean, we're sitting here looking at it.
Okay.
Inflation's at this rate. The Fed's like doing this. It's not having the effect. Okay, but then we look at the jobs report and people are getting employed left and fucking right. It was like, according to every textbook out there, this should not happen. This should be impossible. And yep, there you go. So they even undercut the jobs report by another 100,000 jobs this month. They underestimated it again. So, and they're like, okay, what?
I don't know.
So yeah, no,
I don't know.
the equations say this should not happen, but so we have to rethink all that shit now.
We have to. No, it's there's a piece of this. Yeah, I saw the same thing, and the closest thing that I could say is like there is some form of economic dark matter going on. I don't know what
Kind of
it
is, yeah.
but I have to accept it's there. Otherwise,
Right, and so we got to use this bullshit explanation of calling
all-
it dark matter.
yeah, it's just like all of Newtonian economics.
Right,
falls
right, yeah,
apart.
exactly. So obviously there's this variable that we're not counting, but we can't measure it, nor can we observe it. So but it must be there because that makes the equations work. So yeah,
Pretty much, it's like, so if this isn't true, it's like, yeah, then that means that this crap only applies to Earth.
right. And can you express this as a predictable variable? No. So yeah, no, he was basically punting on it, and so good for him because I remember when the pandemic was hitting, he was like, "Oh, there's not a lick of inflation." All of a sudden, it was just everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that was...
So and he was like, "Well, I was wrong about that." So he's been right about a lot of things, but he was wrong about that. But like even if you look at the inflation numbers, it's in specific things. It's in big ticket items. So it's
Well, hold on, man. Things like food and stuff, it's still there.
It's still there, but the question is, was it supposed to be there before and it was being artificially suppressed by an easy money supply? Don't know. Okay, so are your eggs supposed to be that cheap or are they not? These are the questions that people are starting to ask now.
That's
So,
fine. I
yeah.
understand that. But what you can't say is it wasn't like that before.
Right, but that again, to his point on this one, he was like, maybe they were supposed to be more expensive back then.
know.
We don't fucking
I
know.
know.
And there's no way to tell. So, and therefore, yeah, you're right, dark matter.
But but the bottom line is, when it comes down to it, right? The cause, the actual root cause. What I can say is that the average American is still feeling it.
In certain things, yeah. So
Well, you just look at percentages.
yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah, but they're also getting it in the paycheck too, man. So
they're not though.
wages are up though, bro.
I
Wages
get
are
what
up.
you're saying, but
Yeah.
they've actually, I mean, seriously, they've done the math on that minus that and how much they're actually losing per month.
Yeah. So are
And
American consumers worse off than they were 4 years ago? Probably.
Yes.
Is it like 2010? Probably not. So, nobody's turning in the keys to their fucking houses. So, I mean,
Well, but that's, I mean, there's also protections against that. But I'm not
Good.
gonna,
Yeah.
no, I'm not necessarily fighting this out. What I'm saying here is like, it's impossible to compare those two things because one of those had a pandemic tied to it.
that's true. It's a one-off. Yeah, it's
Right.
a one-off.
So when you're talking about basically like the dark matter cycle of this is like, okay, yeah, so does this impact this and this and this? Does it go around the world? The fucking thing, like, who was it? It was another huge bank that just got gobbled up because they were.
Yeah, those middle tier banks are there's something going on there, man.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And that's that. Like, remember when? Yeah, like you talk about 2008 when you're talking about like.
but is that a
What the
bad
fuck
thing?
happened? I don't.
Yeah,
know.
we don't know yet.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I do. The only thing that I can say is that I do know people that were impacted by Silicon Valley
Silicon
Bank,
Valley was kind of a weird one, though, man. So,
right?
yeah.
So I can talk to that, but
Sure,
I can't talk about.
yeah.
And even then,
But
that's
the people they didn't lose any money, did they?
they ended up being fine. But
Yeah, because you're not going to lose your deposits.
but there was a weekend where
It's
it
like,
was
oh my
like,
god, my money's. Yeah.
there was a little bit of the fucking tenants advisors on and phone calls and all this other shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was there.
So they weren't investors in the bank; they were just depositors. Because I hear the
They were
investors got
also
wiped out.
investors.
Oh, they did get wiped out.
They
That's
didn't get wiped
interesting.
out. They were okay.
That's interesting.
Right.
My understanding was the investors they got their clocks cleaned. So
Well, it's a question of like how much. I didn't ask. Like,
right.
wow, what are you out?
See, usually they don't make investors whole. So
This is
yeah.
they ended up being okay, and I'll
Okay.
leave it at that.
Yeah, all
but
right,
I can't sit there and say like, for research, I'm going to talk about this, right?
Right.
Give me some real world numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Which is something that like at least for me, I don't do unless like we'd have to have somebody on here who was basically an author, right? Where they'd be willing to disclose that kind of stuff. Because I wouldn't try that. But yeah, it was like this is a problem.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, I guess the magnitude order of the problem is what I'm kind of curious about, because if you look at those, like, after you get past your top 4 banks, the rest of them are not that fucking big. You know? So they're talking about mid-tier banks here, and so these are banks that are regional banks, like and locally around here, which they get to the point in time where they have several $billion in assets on their books.
Yeah.
But then you go to like fucking JP Morgan Chase, which is like number 4 on the list or whatever. And it's like a giant,
Yes.
And so, okay, so some of these mid-level banks are getting wiped out. Is that, what does this mean? Does this mean that there's just not room in the market for them anymore?
I don't know.
So, because then you look at your like local land and trust banks, they're fine. So, like your farming banks and shit like that, they're fine. So, I don't know, man.
But that's the problem. Is it endemic of something else? Is it the first of many, or is it something where you have some? There's an issue. It was the same thing 2008. It's like certain things sort of tipped over. A house of cards that would have been fine under different circumstances.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
At least it seems to be, or maybe it wouldn't have popped then, or maybe it would have been eased, or it would have been something where.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Completely hypothetical.
No, well, and I mean the way that banks assume risk is completely different now. That's actually one thing that the Congress did fix at the time.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Dodd-Frank and shit.
Yeah. That is true. And I will say that there is a. I will say that there is a very fascinating joint. Did you see this? The combination bipartisan support bill, basically, that is forcing people in Congress out of stock holding.
Oh, that's fine. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, and it was something that was put together by, I think it was
That's an easy fucking fix.
AOC and Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz is kind of an interesting dude.
It was the combination of those two. I was like, really?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
he's one of the few guys who's actually willing to walk across, and deal with someone like AOC. But that bill's like a no fucking brainer, man. So yeah, even if you're not divested, if you just hold it in trust, that's fine. So
Fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that's what that.
Well, that's what the president's supposed to do until he didn't. So you're also not supposed to buy a fucking hotel across the street from the White House and charge triple for it, but whatever. I mean, see, this is the thing about Donald Trump. His shit is so above board, it's like laughable, man.
I know.
But yeah, like Congress. It's not as above board, and so yeah, there's no way that Nancy and Paul Pelosi should be making that kind of fucking money, right
Not
before
a
it's
chance.
ridiculous.
No, not a chance. Well, and this was the thing that was at least that made me laugh about that is for all the things they've tried to get him on, right? Even the shit they just got him on, it's not really. It was civil. Today, what they got him on was the civil. The oh my god, this is ridiculous. So okay, so Trump was again in civil court, right?
Oh, is
About that, uh, basically the rape allegations from like 20 years ago, right? Where
well, they're gonna squeeze some money out of him.
that's exactly what happened. Was they got him for $5 million.
That's it,
right? For $5 million, and what he was not guilty of, because it's civil court. What they found him liable for was basically like defamation, but they didn't say that he was liable for the actual crime.
Because otherwise it would be a crime.
Absolutely. Right.
So no, it's like that's the OJ thing all over again, man. So, if you got someone on the hook, and if there's like a mediocre of like damage that you could do, you get them with restitution afterwards. So, or defamation in this case. So, I mean, that's a win for him because it means it won't be hanging over him during the fucking, election.
Well, they're saying that's where they're saying that it will be hanging out over.
Oh, fuck that! This is a year away, so like nobody will even think about it.
Well, shit you not, he was on CNN tonight.
Doing what?
Talking about this.
Why? Because it's him. Yeah,
because it was funny.
Yeah, he can't help himself.
No, that's exactly it. Frankly, all right. The thing that has me interested, okay, the actual political thing that has me interested above all else, right, is the Tucker departure, right, and where did he land?
I don't know.
My
guess is Twitter.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't surprise me. I actually had to sign back up for Twitter. I was gonna lose my account.
Oh
so, yeah. They were like, your shit's been inactive forever. And I was like, yeah. And
they're cleaning up bot accounts.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, fine, I'll log in.
Well, and this is the thing that I think is interesting, is whether or not this little experiment here is something that actually kickstarts basically like a change in this. What
maybe
I thought, and this was the thing, is, I'm on a speed, and this was Elon Musk basically, plea for this. He's like, we also want to see more leftist people on this platform doing what Tucker's doing.
You're gonna have a hard time with that. You might find some new ones though.
Well, that's the thing.
But see, that's the thing is you got to like. I watched a bunch of people migrate from Twitter. It's basically because they just on that side there's a lot of people they just don't want to have to put up with all the horse shit, so that they have to collect. And so that's why they like those media outlets, because they don't have to respond to comments and shit on that if they don't want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, whether or not that changes, if you got a lefty out there who's actually willing to punch back, that'd be great.
Well, no, they're all still willing to punch back. It's just, how are they going to, put this together? Like, say, because the thing is, Tucker's in a unique position here as far as when they talk about, like, ratings and what he was getting. And, the enthusiasm for this is actually through the roof, right? Don't get me wrong. And that's actually a great lightning rod, okay, in terms of being the perfect dude to get in there and actually get leftist eyeballs on it, because you hate watch this shit, right?
Right, yeah.
No, I'm serious. You absolutely do, right? If you want to take the words straight from the horse's mouth and say, like, this is what this asshole is saying, and I can comment on it right here.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely, right? That's fine. But he's a part of their legacy side that is starting here, whereas that wouldn't work on the left side, because you can't take Oberman, you can't take Rachel Maddow, you can't take one of these guys, plant him in the same way.
Maddow's basically gone.
Yeah.
So she's like, I got my money, I'm done. So
well, she's persona non grata for a reason.
Yeah, I get that, but she's also kind of pulling a lefty Glenn back here too.
A little bit.
She's gonna ride off in the sunset. Keith Olbermann's just a fucking insane,
fucking idiot.
He is an idiot, and people know that, and so nobody takes him seriously. Yeah, you need somebody else on the left who's actually like new.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't take like the fucking Young Turks and start up something like that, because it's like,
dude, the fucking civil war that went on last year. They're still fighting Appomattox over there, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I mean, what's her name? Kasparian.
Anna Kasparian.
Oh man, she's insufferable. So.
Right, she made enemies over there too.
I know,
right?
They made a lot of enemies over there.
When she said, like, "Don't call me a fucking uterus haver,"
right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. That was after I checked out.
Yeah. No. That was like a month ago. And she's like, "I'm a woman. Don't call me a uterus haver."
Dude, that whole thing is the hand grenade that fell into your own fucking trash.
Jesus.
And it's just
you did this.
You guys did this. You guys totally did this to
I
yourselves.
know.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, so there are some lefty guys, some pretty fucking like almost insufferable lefty guys that I listen to from time to time. And, they are still litigating this fucking battle. And it's just like, guys, everybody else is not paying attention to this anymore. So, it's like done. Yeah. And it just can't do it, because I'm sorry, I don't want that for my kids. So, kind of thing. And that's really what it comes down to, so.
Well, and this is the point that I've made from the very beginning, right? This, when it comes to identity and stuff like this, everybody is fine with it until you say, like, yeah, what about the kids? If you get if you get a sniff that this is going on in a children's setting, that is when people get fucking
it's
furious.
The classic Mr. Slave argument. You remember that from South Park? He made that argument like 20 fucking years ago. He's like, do what you want behind closed doors, but leave the kids out of it. So it's the perfect fucking line. So, and it's 20 years old at this point in time. So I've seen clips of that where it's like, that's pretty prescient, man, from these two guys from Colorado who aren't us. Is that right? Yeah. So, but it's just, it's the hand grenade that fell in their own trench. So somebody dropped it, and now they're hot potatoing it. And like I said, the lefty podcasts that I listen to, I mean, I like some of these people, I really do.
Sure.
I intensely disagree with a lot.
Yeah.
So like, there's these two fucking guys from Kansas City. They have insufferable socialist politics, but I like them as dudes, and I like to listen to them from time to time, But then there's other people out there is just like, okay, you just keep screeching on this. I can't listen to you anymore, man. So I mean, this has become your thing. Okay, so I'm not getting anything new from you. I can autofill your fucking, your opinions on a lot of things. Like, this was one guy, I really like him, man. But I mean, like, on everything with China, Russia, Ukraine, he's totally fucking wrong on it. And everything he talks about, I can autofill where he's going with this now. Yeah. And it's like, you're no longer interesting. Okay, debate somebody who disagrees with you about this shit. So let's see if we can get some movement on you on this one, because quite honestly, you and I are not going to see eye to eye on this. So, and it's just like, all right, man, like, okay, if I can autofill your position on something, then all right,
Well, no, you're right. Unless you're there to basically affirm beliefs you already have, which you wouldn't be listening to it in that case, which you're not there for that.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people out there I do agree with, but I don't listen to them as much anymore, because it's like, no, okay, I know where you're at, so push my boundaries a little bit, and I don't need you to pet me as an audience member. No, so yeah,
do that myself.
Right? Yes,
awesome.
The privacy of my own home.
Yeah. No, it's the thing is, when it comes down to stuff like this, you can't jump in and basically say, like, well, the debate's over. I'm like,
no, it's
clearly not.
Yeah, clearly not.
Yeah. I mean, you can't sit there and say, like, no, trans women are women. I'm like, well, people disagree. It's like, well, you can't. Like, the fuck you can't.
What are you talking about? Yeah, exactly. Right? So,
It's like, well, those people are wrong. I'm like, well, this is the brilliant discussion.
Right,
okay,
yeah.
So...
I'm sorry, yeah. So as soon as I get painted as Hitler of the week, then we're done here. So
Well, and of course, the whole the problem I have with this is that the entire crux of this argument hangs on basically trying to say whether or not the exception defines the rule, right? And that's where it becomes absolutely pointless, because you say, it's like, stop. I know what you're doing, right? I'm not faulting you for this, because this is rhetorical, right? But what you're doing here is you're basically ignoring, okay, because it's like, well, what about these people? It's like, so, what about people that are born? Are you saying that a woman who is, born without a uterus is not a woman? It's like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that she was born without a uterus. Well, what about these people that don't have it? They changed to that. That's how that's different. But what about the people that are born without it?
Yeah, I get that.
I understand.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about here is, does a person who is born without a hand, okay, change the fact that almost everyone else is born with two hands, and that's the norm?
No, yeah. So just making the same argument over and over again just doesn't. It's not selling it anymore. I mean, I get it when you get to the point in time where, okay, everybody's now at least heard the argument. Okay, if you've heard the argument at this point in time and it's still not working, you need to change your argument or come back with a better one. And so, like, fundamentally, it just can't really address the core issue that is most people's hang up with that. Is, well, what about the kids? That's the core thing. I mean, there's a lot of ways to fix the athlete one. So, let's talk about this. Nobody talk about it anymore. Okay, because everybody's kind of like, nah, that's kind of bullshit, you know.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, yeah,
individual agencies are now starting to, that's their pushback. They're like,
absolutely, yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, that's
So
fine.
yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, you guys, it's your sport. You got to figure out how you're gonna run it. So you
Huh?
know, and then we decide whether or not we're gonna watch it. So
Pretty
yeah, I
much.
mean that's how it works. So, but like the kids thing is just one of those things. Like, well, no, actually, the school doesn't get to decide this, kind of stuff. That's actually the core of the issue right there. It's not the actual like issue that you keep pushing on this. Which means yes, no, absolutely, I recognize that if you're going through something like this, it's got to be really difficult, and that sucks. And
Totally
there's a
understand.
lot of people out there who can help you with this and things like that. But we don't write policy based upon the one-offs. All right, when they're not addressing that core issue. So at least not in a way that's productive or it lands well with the people who are actually, gonna vote on the fucking school board.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
this was the
So,
distinct the one specific piece of this that became problematic, right? And I remember arguing about this, a long time ago when it came to the first, talks about this with the, bathroom in California.
sure.
And the whole thing here is when the solutions were presented.
God, that seems like 1,000 years ago, man.
I
I
know,
know, man.
because
It was
this is
back with Caitlyn Jenner. Oh my God.
well, no, I'm talking. So right around this time, right? This is the same time that you had that issue being solved of like, what do you mean I have to bake a gay cake? Right? The same
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right? But that one ended up being resolved, right? But the thing on this was the argument was, all right, so if you say you're this, okay, these people are uncomfortable with it, these people aren't. What about a third bathroom? It's like, no, because then it's not acknowledging that, and that's where this all comes
That's
from.
where it all started. Yeah,
Because
you're right.
if it came down to it and said at that end, it's like, "Oh, okay, I'll go to a different bathroom,
Yeah.
right? For people who identify like this, but it pisses people off or whatever, so I'll just do this,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
That would have settled it.
There were a lot of solutions to that problem, man. So there were a lot. So
And I get it.
but we weren't looking for a solution. We were looking for a fight. So and that's. I mean, there's so many people have pointed to that. It's like, okay, so after like basically the surrender of the entire right establishment on gay marriage, where we were like, okay, no, yeah, so they retreated off the hill, and they're sending over a white flag. We're good. So you won this one, but that was the opportunity to pick up the ball and keep running with it, because the point
Right.
wasn't actual, sorting out some of these deeper issues. It was just beating the other side. So
Right.
and when the other side actually loses on something like that, and that's why, like, I do have a little bit of fear about this one, is because, okay, I think we all know where the argument's going to end up on this one. All right, there's a side that I think is clearly going to lose on this one. All right, so it might take a couple more years. All right, but it's going to happen. All right, it's going to happen. And then I don't want to see people on the side of the issue that's winning right now basically use that as an opportunity to run the ball another 10 yards.
Right.
Win it. Okay? Accept the win. That's the problem with both parties in this country,
Yeah,
is
I
you're
know.
bad
I
fucking
know.
winners.
Terrible.
So we're
Terrible.
gracious losers on a lot of things. Okay? Well, not when, not when that guy wins, so or not when that guy wins,
There
but
is-
so we've not since 2016 we have not learned how to be gracious losers. We used to be really good at it. So because think back to like 2012 and Mitt Romney,
Yeah.
and then even like fucking 2008. So with like, no man, he's gonna make a great president. He's a good family man, blah blah. So, and then even before that, all right. So you can do it on the left side. John Kerry, like, same thing with George W. Bush. He's like, you're still my president, kind of thing. So a swift boat or not, whatever. So it's fine, all right. So you're still my guy. So and then all of a sudden, 2016, we became really bad winners and losers. So, but the winning part is the one that'll get you in trouble, because nobody really minds a sore loser. I mean, you just kind of like, all right, man, scoreboard says otherwise, So, but when you're a shitty winner, man, that's just something that does not apply.
Okay. So again, this is the problem I have with this. Is like the like you said, the selective memory on this, because
Right.
if you recall, okay, and we all do, right? Is in 2012, or not 2012, but in 2016,
Mhm.
that was the whole like, you wouldn't want if it wasn't for Russians on Facebook,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And
I remember that shit, man. And I was like, until I saw that first hearing on it, I was like, oh, no, this is bullshit.
And that's the thing.
So,
You're right.
yeah.
There is supposed to be a part of like presidential losing that, yes, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, we ran a good show. His show was a little bit better than mine.
Yeah.
But when all's said and done, I'm still going to salute the president, right? Versus 2016 comes on And now,
See, fair to her credit, she did say that at the time. She actually did. She did not go down the Russia collusion thing until like her party.
later,
Yeah, exactly.
yes.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you can't. She conceded
right.
that at first, but then it's like, you know what? Now that I have the opportunity, it's like, let me grab that microphone. Let me say what I really want to say.
Yeah, that was.
You'll live to regret this. And
Yeah.
then, of course. So what happens in 2020?
That exact same fucking thing, man. Well, I mean, but that's not out of character for him either, man. So,
No,
you know, I mean,
that's
yeah.
why they voted for him.
Well, yeah. So, you know, I don't know. But I do think that might actually be a feature and not a bug now, to use that metaphor twice in one night.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, and the funny thing,
We'll have to see how the next one goes.
we will, and it's coming up sooner than we think. But I mean, the thing about this, that yeah, it's lose with some dignity. That would be great. Okay, that's a great lesson. And the other thing, of course, is like you said, the extra 10 yards. Just remember history. And I mean, like, not 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Not a year ago. Think 50. Think 100 years, right? And sit there and say, like, so when you have power, because I remember when it was all of the branches were under D control, and that's where you know, the Affordable Health Care Act, and they got like kind of a watered
real
down
lukewarm version of it,
right? Where it's like, you know, it's the same thing where you have to recognize and just say, like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm here. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, this is our chance to eradicate Republicans forever.
Well, and Donald Trump had the same opportunity in his first term too. So, you know, I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm driving at here is
think about it. That's interesting. They were both first term presidents when that happened. Yeah, and they both kind of fucked it up. So
now I understand that we had sort of like a like the free agency era of football thing going on there for a while when it came to presidents and Congress, and it's like, you know, these things are going to be this way for a while, right? You can predict on this small changes. You know, we don't buy small changes. It's like, nah, we gotta flush this, right? We gotta go big. We gotta, you know.
Well, unless things are going well.
Well, no, I
yeah.
totally understand.
Yeah.
But dude, if you think about it, in 2016 things were fine.
In 2016, yeah, things were pretty good. So, well, I mean, the thing was that nobody wanted to hand that off to her. So at that point, she was like historically the worst candidate that, you know, they've ever tried to put up, because it spoke to everything. Because I remember in the beginning of that one, I was like, can't we get somebody who's not got Bush or Clinton as the last fucking name? And so, because that was back when Donald Trump was still a joke, you know, and they were like, well, yeah, he's got a better chance of playing the NBA than becoming president, you know. But with that field, okay, and this was hindsight for a lot of people, myself included, it actually makes sense now what happened, you know. And I think the same thing's true in 2020. I think that one kind of made sense too. So in some respects, because just tired of the fucking drama more so than anything else.
But
absolutely fucking tired of it, man.
You turned to the worst possible person.
I know.
If you returned drama.
But, you know, I mean, at this point in time, nobody knew that. So,
right.
You know, and so, and even then, I don't know. I think his presidency has been a little bit less drama infused.
In hindsight, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, look, the actual drama is, to me, sidelined by basically what people thought he was versus what actually happened, right?
Right.
And that's the thing, is when you break it down and say, well, what actually happened as a result of his presidency, you're like, not much. I don't mean that in necessarily a negative way.
No, not really much, yeah.
But you sit there and see people say, like, oh, well, it was 4 years of fascism. Like, point to one
yeah,
example,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Please, yeah, explain to me exactly what you mean by fascism.
Was it?
So, you know, like, to be fair, all right, so there were a couple things that, like, he definitely was pushing in a certain direction that I did not agree with at the time. So, breakup of NATO, in disengagement from the from you know, our allies and stuff. Like, still have a fucking problem with that. So Vladimir Putin fucking fixed that for everybody. So, you know, so you'd asked me like 3 years ago, is like Finland and Sweden ever going to join NATO? It's like, no, it'll break up before that happens. Whoops. You know, so there you go, you know. But I mean, other than that, I mean, everything else, it's like, you know, I mean, first of all, I think I used the metaphor once. He got on the horse, he didn't know how to ride it. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean,
yeah, we caught the car. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He caught the car, you know, and but no, did this country turn like 4 shades more Hitler-esque? No.
No.
So yeah, no,
Did you
absolutely
think
not.
it did? Did you spend 4 years pretending it did?
Well, there were certain news networks they were trying to convince me of that, so that's for sure. So
Yeah, you're like, if I go back to, can I sit there and talk about like Charlottesville? Can you remember the incident with the
oh,
tiki torches?
tiki torch
And
Nazis, yeah.
do you
Which
remember?
were kind of funny.
Oh,
So
no.
they're kind of cute nowadays if you
Well,
think
that's what I'm
about it.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, what was the big fashion event? Okay, so let me get this straight. This kid named Nick Sandman is smiling, wearing his MAGA hat, while some Native American dude shouts in his face.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm like, this is your
Yeah, no, nobody buys any of that shit anymore.
this
man.
is your
Yeah.
fascism. This
Yeah.
is your like, you guys.
That poor kid.
Oh no, he's fine.
No, I get that, but you
He
know.
made so much money.
Oh, he made money off that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
because here's the thing: is this was the end result of that is, so a lot of newspapers jumped the gun thinking that he was instigating.
Oh, so he started dishing out defamation suits. Good for him.
And he had
Yeah, yeah.
millions and millions and millions and
Okay,
millions,
so he got made whole.
as
So,
he should have.
yeah, sure.
But
So-
yeah, that was the thing. This is like, okay, that's what's going on here, right? But anyway, yeah, it's
Yeah.
this is look, this is the dissection of everything that's going on here. The evidence is right here, right? Fucking media, Fox News couldn't keep it together, and they were the ones that had a 20-yard lead on everybody else, right?
Yeah.
They're imploding right now.
Yeah, so I want to see demographics on that though. I'm kind of curious because Tucker, like my gut is telling. I don't know. I'd have to look at this. My gut is telling me that Tucker's audience was actually significantly younger than the rest of Fox's audience.
I would argue that, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see some data on that because those people will migrate to Twitter. So, but you know, if your mean demographic on age and Fox News is only like 3 years less than CNN, then Fox is going to go up in the next 3 years, you know, to match that. And then we just know, and okay, these are the people who watch cable news, man.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah, so we'll see.
yeah. So it is. Yeah, it's cratering. Yeah, I couldn't be happier for it. And if this actually means that, you know, people that are part of these networks that actually may have something to say, I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to second guess what Tucker actually says now that he's
I wouldn't
unchained
either,
from this,
yeah.
right? I don't know. I don't know what's going to come out. He's eventually going to talk about, well, this is why I got canned, and people are either going to be like, makes sense, or
He
they're going
might,
to say,
unless he's
like,
under an NDA or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea. There's lots of discussions about why this happened, but he's going to break his silence on it eventually, I think. Or
Maybe.
someone will.
Yeah.
Or someone will. Someone
Yeah.
in the know will, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing. And so the complete like crumbling over there of MSNBC and
Yeah, but see, like that's the whole thing. They can crumble down to basically nothing, and they still have a good revenue model. So it's fucking weird. So
they're just limping. I mean, that's
they don't need that much money in order to run. So that's the whole thing. I mean, if you actually look at their financials, they're fucking tiny. So you know, like in terms of how much money they generate. So the question is how the fuck does CNN afford this enormous tower in downtown Atlanta? So the answer is they rent out 95% of it.
There you go.
So there you go. Yeah. So and that's actually a huge slice of their revenue every single year.
That makes sense.
They don't fucking need to actually have any viewers in order to keep going.
Still fired Don Lemon.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So
They
maybe
fired the shit
he'll
out of
show
him.
up on Twitter with his own show.
So
that'd be funny.
Thoughts. The best possible thing was, since you guys both lost your jobs, a crossfire version of basically Tucker and Don Lemon would be dynamite.
Well, they used to be on the same show. Yeah, so you never know, man. It might happen.
Be great.
Yeah, getting the band back together, baby.
I yell at you.
You yell back. So
And we cash checks.
we cash checks.
There you go.
Yeah, darn it.
Okay. All right.
I like that. That's
There
a
we
good
go.
place to end. Cashing checks.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm Pat.
Yep, I'm Jeffrey.
Hit the button.
Cool.